that alimony in Wisconsin is just a percentage of income? Think again. Most people think they can go to online calculators thinking that they can plug in their numbers and get a neat, tidy alimony estimate. But in Wisconsin, it's not that simple. And using those calculators could leave you wildly unprepared or overpromised. Stick around. We are breaking down exactly how alimony decisions are made in Wisconsin, the myths of online calculators, and what Wisconsin judges actually look for when making decisions. My name is Jeff Hughes. I am the lead attorney and CEO of Sterling Lawyers, and we have helped thousands of Wisconsin families navigate a family law matter. So let's start with the calculators. Most of the Wisconsin alimony calculators you'll find online, they're built with formulas from other states. Typically, what they do is they look for income gaps between you and your spouse and the length of your marriage. Well, maybe it's a simple formula like 30% of the higher earner's income minus 20% of the lower earner's income. But here's the catch. Wisconsin judges, they do not use a standard formula at all. Instead, alimony, now that is called maintenance here in Wisconsin, is determined case by case. Judges consider at least 10 specific factors, not just the income. So yeah, that free calculator, that might give you a ballpark answer, but don't make life plans based on it. Start by understanding what the judges actually consider in our Wisconsin courts. Now first, here's the checklist that Wisconsin judges look at when awarding maintenance. And this is found in our laws at Wisconsin Statute 767.56. Now they look at how long you've been married, your age and your health, whether you stayed home to raise the kids, whether one of you put the other one through school or built up their earning power, and whether either of you can become self-supporting again, and how long that would realistically take. Now, here's a real example. We have a client named Lisa. She stayed home for 17 years raising 3 kids. Her husband built a 6-figure tech career while she was out of the workforce. And the judge wasn't just looking at the numbers in that case. The judge was looking at sacrifice, potential, and long-term impact. And that is why calculators can't substitute for what actually happens in life and then in court. So what about the duration of alimony? How long will it last? Well, you might have heard the rule of thumb that half the length of marriage equals the length of the alimony. That's not the law in Wisconsin, but it is a common starting point, especially for marriages between 10 and 20 years. And here's how it usually breaks down. Marriages under 10 years, alimony, quite frankly, is rare. If granted, it is usually short term. 10 to 20 years, that's possibly half the length of the marriage. But what about 20 plus years? Now, this is where you're looking at a long-term or even an indefinite order of maintenance. I recall once a client, he'd been married for 24 years and his wife had not worked in 15 years due to health issues. And in that case, the judge ordered indefinite maintenance because the judge did not expect her to realistically to ever become self-supporting. So now once alimony is ordered, what stops it? Now, there are 3 things that automatically terminate alimony: the death of either party, a remarriage of the receiving spouse that is receiving maintenance, or the end of the support term as set by the judge. Now, here's where it can get really tricky. What about cohabitation or living together? Well, that does not automatically stop alimony. You have to essentially prove that the person is in a marriage-like relationship, living together, sharing bills, bank accounts, and so forth. And this quite often can lead to complicated court battles, especially if you're trying to modify or end the support. And what about taxes? Well, there's a big change in recent years. If your divorce was finalized after 2018, alimony is no longer taxable. The paying spouse does not get a deduction, and the receiving spouse, they don't have to pay tax on that alimony. And if your divorce was before 2019 and hasn't been modified, the old tax rules still apply unless you opted into the new ones. So when someone tells you that they're paying $2,000 a month in deductible alimony, ask them when they got the divorce, because that date really matters. Now, alimony orders can be modified after the divorce, but only if you show a substantial change in the circumstances. And to know what that is, it could be a job loss, medical disability, or the recipient starts making more money. But here's a big warning. One time a client lost his job and thought that would automatically reduce his payments. It didn't. He had to go back to court and prove everything: bank statements, job searches, medical records, and it took months. And what about enforcement? If you stop paying, the consequences can be serious. They could lead to wage garnishment, interest penalties, even jail time in extreme cases. So what do you do if you can't rely totally on those calculators? Well, use them as a starting point, but it's not a plan. Gather everything: tax returns, W-2s, bank statements, medical records. Talk to an experienced Wisconsin divorce lawyer. That's your best bet, because they will know the county and the judges and the unique policies that those particular judges follow. And because Wisconsin judges have a wide range of discretion, your results will depend as much on your judge and your county as they do on your income. Online alimony calculators, they may feel like a quick fix, but they don't reflect the real rules Wisconsin judges use. Your alimony results depend on over 10 factors like health, career sacrifice, education, and marital history, not just on cold, hard math. So if you want to know what really goes into an alimony ruling in your case, watch our next video on what judges really look at when they award alimony. It'll show you a behind-the-scenes look at how judges think and how you should prepare.